What's going on, guys? Welcome into your energy news beat here on this gorgeous Monday, January 25th, 2021. As always, I'm your humble correspondent, Michael Tanner, coming to you from an undisclosed location here in Denver, Colorado, joined by the executive producer of the show, the purveyor of the show, and the director and publisher of the world's greatest website, energynewsbeat.com, Stuart Turley. How you doing today?
It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood, and I almost made $1.
You did almost make $1, guys. For all things what's happened on the show, you can check all of that in a bag of chips out on my left here with the rundown. But before we dive into today's equity news, just first subscribe to the Energy News Beat a couple ways. On YouTube, hit that like button. If I was a 16-year-old YouTuber, I would scream, smash that like button. But I will not. I will refrain from saying that. Also, check us out on www.energynewsbeat.com. Hit the little notifications button in the bottom. The best way to basically have a stream of consciousness of everything energy news. And when we move in the stock market, they had a couple things. So I'll read you top line indices right here. SPY was up 1/10 of a percentage point. Nasdaq's up 0.5 percentage point. Dow Jones actually down 0.2 of a percentage point. And here's why. We're into earnings this week, okay? So broad equities were up, supported by utilities. Now, what's one thing to remember? When utilities are up, what does that mean? Everything else is falling. Why? Utilities are considered a safe haven. Energy, all of these public utility companies, NextEra Energy, PSEG, all of these big boys, when they trade up, that means that people are getting away from some of these higher, more volatile stocks and moving in them. The interesting part was Nasdaq was also up 0.4 of a percentage point, and a lot of that comes with it's earnings season right here. We have 13 Dow components and 111 S&P 500 companies are set to report earnings this week. None really interesting happened today. So again, you kind of saw we're just seeing choppy waters here because everyone's wondering what's going to happen. We're going to see Apple, Microsoft, Netflix, Tesla, McDonald's, Honeywell, Caterpillar, and Boeing all coming this week. After Apple's shares gained about 2.6% after its quarter, before its quarterly report will come out Wednesday. That's what buoyed that Nasdaq up for that stock. When we move over to crude oil side, a little more interesting today. It was up about a full percentage point, 52.73. Back into the curve, about 0.75 of a percentage point. I mean, when you look at even what happened this weekend, there's a really set of interesting complex energy fundamentals that's happening right now. I think you have the vaccine rollout that I think people are traders are eyeing very closely, and I think what you're seeing now an unwinding of the extreme bullishness. I think people were on the front end of saying we're gonna have 100 million people vaccinated by the summer. That's not gonna happen. I'm just sorry. We're not gonna have. We barely have like 4 million people vaccinated at this point. So the idea that we're going to see demand come back from a stock standpoint, and that's really what I focused this week on the over weekend oil report, was some of these very interesting numbers. Gasoline stocks. Fell by 260, which is good, but that's not quite what we want to see. We usually see a 4 billion barrel build in mid-January, so it's very interesting to see how some of this stuff is working out. Natural gas, 6 percentage points on the upside. We're just finally seeing some cold weather, $2.60. As remember, natural gas has been a weather trade. I've been pounding this in the show every single day. Natural gas is a weather trade at this point. Yes, stocks come out Thursday. That'll tell us a little bit, but we're in build mode. We're in draw mode on natural gas. We fully established ourselves that it's a weather trade right now. Natural gas weather came out this morning and had a little bit of a colder, so that's why you're seeing that index trade up a little bit. Back into the curve, $2.88. Or $2.88, or about 2.8 percentage points in the upside. Overall, energy equities didn't have a great day, down 1.4 percentage points. OIH didn't do well, down 4.3 percentage points, to follow up on some of the big boys reporting earnings last week. Some of our equities, as I mentioned, we're going to see some big movers on the downside. BTU down 6.4 percentage points. Haldor Energy down 7.5. Phoenix Minerals not having a really good day. They're down 7.64 percentage points. Still some upside to be had. Houston America Corporation, Go Texas, up 11.8 percentage points. Tensaco Gas, they're up 15 percentage points. Telrinian, they're up 18 percentage points. And Sanchez Midstream, we'll talk about them in a little bit, they are up 30 percentage points today. Stu, International, we're back. What's going on this week?
Oh man, hey, in the words of a great man, holy smokes, Batman. You remember our beloved friends over in Greece and
Yep.
Turkey.
Club Med, baby.
Club Med, baby. And they have had, this is their 67th talk. And it's because Greece calmly went in and took Turkey went in and calmly took some of the Greece islands. I could see why they get a little grumpy.
I love it. They calmly went in and overtook some islands.
It's just this island's laying there. Okay, so anyway, they're doing exploratory talks. How do you do exploratory talks after 67? I'm not real sure.
I don't know.
But they're sitting down. The maritime boundaries are still from 2016. NATO is asking them to get and play nicely in the sandbox because everybody else is worried about them.
Okay.
Turkey's continued control of northern Cyprus, which it captured in 1974. Okay, so we're watching that one because it could blow up again. Okay, here we are. Nothing up my sleeve, but let's watch Iraq. Iraq has put out Iraq to lower oil production to compensate for OPEC breach. But will they really lower the output, or is this a political stunt?
It's a political stunt.
Michael,
I'll go out on a limb.
Oh,
a real big limb. It's a real big, sturdy limb, but I'll say political.
Oh, no, it's more like walking the plank if you're going to put anything on this. This is horrible. OPEC's second biggest producer will pump around, are you ready, 3.6 million barrels daily for the 2 months. Yeah, you and I had talked about it's going to be more than that. Yeah. They're now capable of going over the 4 million barrel mark, and by my crayon and my high calculating math, they're going to hit over the 4.2 million barrels. So if you think they're going to sit back and go, oh, we're going to play nice with OPEC, OPEC is over. OPEC Plus is over in, I believe, 6 more months, whatever it is. It's coming up soon. Anyway, okay, coming around the corner, we got a bunch of super tankers going sunbathing.
I saw you ran this story this morning. I was thinking, where's our super tanker? Where's our wealthy investor? We've been calling him out for months. We haven't heard from anybody.
Oh yeah, I mean, now not only do you get laid off if you're a tanker, you get thrown to the beach and cut up. This is kind of harsh. I mean, this is bad. The reason unemployed super tankers are about to get junked on Asia's beaches. They go to Bangladesh, India, and Pakistan, where they get cut up and sold for scrap. Let me give you a couple numbers here.
Sounds fun.
Hey, let's go have a beach party and cut up a tanker. 2% of the fleet could be demolished because as things are coming out of storage, people are having a harder time getting their scrap. A scrap of a VLCC is at $18.95 million. So that's pocket change, man. We got trillions of stimulus money. Why can't we get our own stimulus tanker? I think we owe it to ourselves.
Yeah, let's write that in. Let's get on that. Who's my local representative? I'm gonna write that into the next stimulus bill.
Last story. Our buddies over at Shell.
Wildly interesting story, by the way.
Boy, it is very good. Shell buys European electric charge firm called Ubitracy. I would have had a market research firm name my firm, not Ubitracy. That's a weird name, dude. I guess I'm from Texas. But anyway, Shell said it would buy 100% stake in the Berlin-based startup, and the deal will give them 2,700 charge points in Britain and another 1,500 charge points in Europe. I think it's a good move for Shell. Well, everybody used to see the Shell filling stations. It's going to be a good move.
Yeah, and I think who is poised to create the most charging stations in the world? People that already own gas stations. It's not like, I don't think Tesla is going to just all of a sudden build these charging stations. What are they going to do? They're going to have some co-op with ConocoPhillips or 7-Eleven or whoever to just install charging stations at these gas stations. So I'm glad to see Shell make an initial step to get in, buy these charge points. It's going to be very helpful in the world. And they don't have to buy cars now. I mean, it's, again, there you go. It's now we're just getting into the distribution business, not necessarily the manufacturing business.
You bet. Smart move by Shell.
Yeah, what else you got? Is that it?
That's it.
Nice little quiet day for you, it seems like.
It's just recovering from the weekend.
Yeah, it sounds like it. Well, guys, everything on the international news desk, courtesy of the world's greatest website, energynewsbeat.com. A couple things on the U.S. shale side. We kind of covered a little bit of what happened over the oil weekend report. And just we're seeing a lot of complex energy fundamentals. You can go back and listen to what I chatted about 5 minutes ago. Couple other things, guys. Remember, Obsidian Energy said last year. I'm trying to figure out the time frame. It was like Q2, Q3 last year. Extended an offer to buy Botera Energy Corporation. Botera came out and said that the shareholders reject the bid, but Obsidian then turned it into a hostile takeover and is now trying to basically, I wouldn't say wage war, but they're basically extending their offer to accept. It was supposed to be today. It's now March 29th. It's very interesting to see where that goes. We ran the press release from Obsidian Energy side on the news, but it just reads like not a sob story. It just reads like one of the best M&A. I thought the most interesting thing was this. It was down here somewhere. It was talking about they believe they're going to be able to save 50%, right here. This merger between the city and Botera, $50 million the first year and a total of $100 million in the first 3 years. We know what that code's for. G&A savings, aka jobs. So I think that's partly why Botera knows that they should reject this, because they're probably all getting laid off. Because that's at this small of an M&A deal, that's all you can do for Obsidian. They're not absorbing this whole company. Let's just be really square.
Just be glad they're not super tankers and getting thrown up on the beach.
Yeah, no kidding. At least they don't get cut up here. Something else that I found really interesting. This is a report by Bloomberg Energy Finance that talked about global energy transition investments in 2020. Give you guys an idea. It clocked in at $501.3 billion, good for 9% year-over-year growth. The firm's analysis also showed that both public and private investments in renewable energy capacity came up to $303.5 billion, up 2.2 percentage points on the year, thanks mainly to the biggest build-out of solar projects, as well as a $50 billion surge for offshore wind. Holy smokes! Offshore wind getting, remember, Total's getting in on that. We've run a couple of these companies. But this was, I thought, was the most interesting increase. Private equity research firm PitchBook revealed that $675 million of those dollars came from geothermal energy, good for a six times year-over-year investment.
Wow.
Geothermal. Do you like geothermal, first off, Stu, and where do you think it goes?
I do like geothermal, but there's a lot of people saying that renewable will suck the Earth's core out, because I'm kidding. But no, geothermal is very, very good, but it's also limited in where it can be implemented. So I do like dams. I think hydroelectric is by far one of the way coolest. I think geothermal's right up there.
Yeah, I think geothermal is pretty interesting. It could be the future, it could not. It still requires a lot of drilling, though. So I think that's why a lot of people love it, because it can kind of keep those oil and gas guys. I'll be interesting. You know, it's environmentally friendly enough. I'm wondering why you're not seeing more dollars and more projects from these bigger firms roll out publicly. And I wonder if you'll start seeing that as part of this rollout.
We had one of our Canadian companies that was a operator. He turned his company 100% to geothermal.
Who's that?
I'll have to go look through our notes. We're going to set up an interview.
We're going to need to do that, because that is super interesting. But no, I just find the geothermal stuff fascinating. All right, guys, two things. This just cracks me up, guys. So first we have SpaceX. We ran this on Wednesday of last week. SpaceX buys 2 offshore platforms because they're going to launch rockets from them. Kind of cool. It's actually an interesting use of old offshore wells. Well, this is the best part. So, guys, you remember, in Boca Chica, Texas, which I don't quite know where that is, but that's where he's putting a new launch pad for SpaceX. Well, get this. Filed with the Texas Railroad Commission, the state's energy regulator, SpaceX intends to drill wells close to the Boca Chica pad. Give you guys an idea, there's a SpaceX subsidiary, Lone Star Mineral Development, are now going to start. So SpaceX is drilling natural gas, and they want to use and extract the methane from it to be able to power their rockets. This just cracks me up. First, he's got his gigafactory plugged into the grid, aka using natural gas. Now he's trying to push renewable energy through his cars, yet he's drilling for natural gas in Texas. I've got a couple thoughts on this, dude, but I want you to go first.
I admire, in my beloved terms, Elton. I think Elon is absolutely one of the best guys on the planet. I actually admire him. This one I have to back up and say, what are you thinking? You know, I don't get it. You can buy it cheap. I believe you had said that Sanchez, the old Sanchez stuff.
Yeah, well,
Uh,
guess what? So, formed in 2020, Lone Star bought 806 acres of the La Pita oil lease from old school Houston based energy company Sanchez, now
yeah,
known as Mesquite Energy, after they exit bankruptcy. In what happened with that, the Dallas Petroleum Club took issue with this report, basically say there's some dispute. Our favorite friend Sanchez Midstream up 30% today. There are two midstream partners, and the old oil and gas corporation sued them for basically, there's this big oil lease tie-up bankruptcy. Point is, 806 acres apparently are going to SpaceX. I'm with you, Stu. For 30 years we've been trying to drill wells, and we've barely been profitable. Over the past 10 years we haven't been profitable one bit, and now he thinks he's going to come in and drill. You can go buy natural gas for $2.60 on the open market right now. He can go hedge. I mean, he employs a bunch of these smart people. The only thing I can think of is this is a DD&A dump. How do you take a large amount of money, invest it into a company to be able to write it down for tax? I mean, think about one of the biggest, people always talk about why is the oil and gas industry is subsidized. Well, it's not subsidized only to the fact that you can write down so much of your operations due to DD&A. Depreciation, I forget what the three is. Depreciation, something, amortization. I don't know. It's a little. I'm not an accountant. Point is, it's the subject called DD&A, which allows you to write stuff down. I think that's what he's going to take over. I could see them dumping a ton of money into this, try to offset some of their tax burden from SpaceX, because they're going to break even on. At best case scenario, they're breaking even on this, and I don't know if quite that's worth it.
I think they're also buying it so they can put a bunch of harsh chemicals from the rockets and pump it into the earth. I'm just kidding.
Well, take off your tinfoil hat. Let's finish up the show here. No, I do love me a good conspiracy, so that's why Stu brings it up. I want to finish up, which is the highlight of oil and gas earnings. Really, it starts, knock on wood, or pun intended, it starts in earnest, not this week, but next week when we see our big rollout. But we have, Concho comes out with their last one. Next week, we're going to see Continental Resources. Oxy comes out. We've got we have, why am I spacing their name? Comstock Resources, SM, Pioneer, they all roll out next week. Cabot Oil and Gas. It's gonna be pretty wild next week, Stu. None interesting that comes up. We'll have CNX on Thursday. ConocoPhillips actually drops on Friday, so we'll be able to see some of that. Devon will actually begin next week. So it's going to be, I just be prepared. These are going to be good earnings reports because oil prices buoyed in the last, so don't be, I don't want to say don't be shocked, but, expect some good earnings reports. Obviously, it's not going to be as good. The year-to-year stuff's going to be down, but maybe instead of being down 50 to 75%, it could be down 20 to 35%. It's very interesting to see where these companies are, and especially with the valuations of where you're at. I'm just interested in how this all rolls out, and we'll be covering on the beat every day. Stu, what did we forget today?
Nothing. You did a great job, Michael.
Well, with that, guys, we're going to get out of here. Let's get back to work, finish your day. Thank you for checking out Energy News Beat. For Stuart Turley, I'm Michael Tanner. We will see you guys tomorrow on the News Beat.